Details about JoyU card application arrangements for Hong Kong residents aged 65 or above. Generally smooth operations on the first working day of the East Rail Line cross-harbour extension. And 234 new COVID cases in the city and 3 infection clusters keep growing.
Good evening and welcome. Eligible Hong Kong residents aged 65 or above will have to apply for the JoyU card in batches starting next month if they want to continue enjoying $2 rides on public transport.
Authorities stress the move is to prevent abuse of the fare concession.
Currently, real name registration is required for JoyU card applicants aged between 60 and 64. Those aged 65 or above can enjoy the $2 public transport fare scheme by using the Elder Octopus card. According to government data, there were 4 million Elder or personalized Octopus cards in 2019, but in the same year, there were only 1.3 million residents who were 65 years old or above. To prevent any abuse of the fare concession scheme, those who have turned 65 will have to apply for the JoyU card. Starting next month, residents born in 1956 will be the first to apply, and those born in or before 1938 will be the last batch of applicants. Late applications may be denied. Applicants can either use the Octopus app or submit their applications by mail. These forms are available at more than 540 spots in town. The JoyU card will be issued 4 weeks after an application is received. A $20 application fee will be subsidized by the government for first-time applicants. After the JoyU card is issued to an applicant, the $2 concessionary fare function on his or her anonymous Octopus card will be removed. Secretary for Labour and Welfare Law Chi Kwong believes this wouldn't be too much of a trouble for applicants, adding it's just like we all need to change our ID cards. But elderly applicants may not see eye to eye with him. This resident said, "We're not young and now we have to fill in forms and use our phones. Of course it's troublesome." Meanwhile, lawmakers said it would be complicated for the elderly to file their applications on paper. They urged the government to set up special teams to help senior citizens complete the application process.
On its first working day, the MTR's new East Rail Line cross-harbour extension operated smoothly, with many praising its efficiency.
The MTR announced that as of 11 a.m., the exhibition centre station recorded 12,000 commuters, while Admiralty recorded more than 49,000. Timothy Lee has the story.
During morning rush hour, MTR employees could be seen diverting passengers of the East Rail Line and 2 Mile Line on the platform of the Tai Wai Interchange Station. The frequency of trains increased to 1 train every 2.7 minutes, with the MTR sending empty trains to stations such as Sha Tin and Tai Po Market to clear up passengers. Residents of the new territories can now take the 2 Mile Line and interchange at Hung Hom Station for the East Rail Line, crossing the harbour much faster than in the past. This man, who traveled from Sheung Shui to Admiralty, said he will use the new rail line when crossing the harbour, as it significantly cuts down the time of transportation while retaining the same price. However, some people said they prefer to continue taking the cross-harbour bus, citing comfort as a reason. At Admiralty Station, the interchange station shared by 4 MTR rail lines, floods of people could be seen swarming the facility earlier today. A number of MTR staff were deployed to hold up signs to guide commuters in the renovated and expanded station. However, many passengers noted they were pleased with how smoothly the East Rail Line operated today, and said the train cars were not as packed as they expected. Shan Han Pan, the chairman of the subcommittee on matters relating to railways, believes this is a chance to make better use of the cross-harbour buses as a resource. He said that with the East Rail Line now extended, cross-harbour bus routes could also be extended to reach more remote areas, giving passengers more options. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Hong Kong reported 234 locally acquired coronavirus infections today, including 42 imported cases. Two more customers who visited the Imperial Kitchen in Kuntong have been infected. The number of infections in that cluster so far jumped to 11. According to health authorities, they all said they did not have meals there, or they did not have meals there. They also said they did scan the Leave Home Safe QR code, but the restaurant did not scan their vaccine passes. More than 20 environmental samples collected there have all tested negative. Meanwhile, 4 more diners at the Sky Cuisine in Sheungwan tested positive for the virus, bringing the cluster's total number of infections to 56. 3 more environmental samples collected on the eatery's 3rd floor tested positive, and Sun Mong Snooker in Hong Hom reported 1 more infection, with the cluster so far having a total of 14 cases.
From May 31st onwards, people must take a 3rd COVID jab to enter specified premises like restaurants, unless they are exempted under special circumstances.
Some are urging the government to push back the date or allow younger adults to be exempted from the vaccination requirements. Caleb Leung reports.
Currently, around 50.9% of those who are 12 years old or above have received the 3rd COVID jab. Excluding those who have contracted COVID, there are still some 1 million people in the city who are eligible for the 3rd jab but have yet to take it. As the vaccine pass arrangement enters the 3rd stage on May 31st, anyone aged 12 or above must have received 3 jabs to enter specified premises such as restaurants. That's unless they have been granted an exemption, such as those who have recovered from COVID. Lawmaker Tang Ka-piu is urging the government to push back the dosage schedule for vaccine pass.
Maybe it's a sudden harm to the economy and to the employment, because now we are quite enjoy the recovery of industry and economy. It's really worried that maybe in the end of May, there's around 1 million citizens. Suddenly they cannot enjoy the catering or they cannot go to workplace.
Meanwhile, epidemiologist Benjamin Colling and honorary assistant pharmacy professor Chen Tek Kwong of the University of Hong Kong said it's no longer meaningful to create an immunity barrier through the vaccine pass scheme. In a newspaper article, they stated that most younger adults have received at least 2 shots, while the city has created an immunity barrier during the 5th wave of the epidemic. They suggested that the government allowed adults under 60 years old to enter specified premises without being subject to vaccination requirements.
The
Secretary for the Civil Service, Patrick Nip, who is in charge of the city's COVID-19 vaccination program, said the city will enter the 3rd stage of the vaccine pass arrangement as scheduled. Government Health Advisor David Hui agrees with the policy, noting that the 5th wave of the epidemic has yet to conclude. He added that immunity can fade over time and a new wave of infections may occur. He said another delay to the dosage schedule for the vaccine pass will reduce the urgency of taking the 3rd shot among the public. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
The mainland reported nearly 1,200 COVID-19 cases today. On Sunday, Shanghai reported 69 confirmed cases, along with 869 asymptomatic cases. It was the first time in 8 weeks the city reported less than 1,000 daily infections. As the pandemic situation is gradually improving, authorities in Shanghai announced 3 phases of anti-COVID measures. The city aims to resume normalcy by next month, and land and air traffic will gradually resume conditionally on May 22nd. Meanwhile, Beijing reported 54 cases. Starting today, the capital city will commence 3 rounds of mandatory daily nucleic acid tests in 12 districts. Still ahead on tonight's news, Ukraine says its troops have pushed back Russian forces to the border in the northeast. Another mass shooting in the United States, this time at a California church. And a Consumer Council warning about health risks associated with some sausages. Welcome back to TVB News. Russia has attacked positions in eastern Ukraine as it tries to encircle Ukrainian forces in the Donbass and fend off a counteroffensive around Izium.
But in the northeast, Ukrainian forces are advancing, pushing back Russian troops. Matthew Bray reports.
This unverified video provided by the Ukraine Defense Ministry shows troops having apparently reached the border with Russia and reinstalling a blue and yellow border marker. The leader of the battalion reports to the president, "We are at the border." The location is not revealed, but is thought to be in the Kharkiv region. In this village directly north of Kharkiv, Ukraine National Guard are in control as of May the 8th, 4 days into a counteroffensive that has seen Russian soldiers retreat across the border. This soldier, Alexander Yevchenko, said the Russians fled quickly. They did not have time to loot much or mine much as they usually do. The push in the northeast has been Ukraine's most successful since they expelled Russians from the north and the areas around Kyiv at the end of March. Russian rocket attacks are still devastating. This aid center, which was a focal point for humanitarian assistance, was still smoldering 3 days after it was repeatedly targeted. It's a different story in the south and east. This is a shower of phosphorus or incendiary weapons hitting the Azovstal steel plant in the port of Mariupol. The date and time of this video released by Reuters is not known. It was posted on the Telegram account of Alexander Khodorkovsky, a commander in the pro-Russian self-proclaimed Donetsk Republic. Weeks after Russia started bombarding the plant, a few hundred fighters are still holding out in the complex. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said that talks are still ongoing to try and get the remaining Azov battalion fighters out of the plant. For Russia, a key aim is to destroy the far-right volunteers, formed after Russia seized parts of the eastern Donbass in 2014. Matthew Bray, TVB News.
Finland has confirmed it will apply to join NATO, paving the way for an application and abandoning decades of military non-alignment.
NATO and the United States say they are confident that Turkish concerns will not hold up bids by both Finland and Sweden to join the alliance in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In a strategic blow for Russia, Finland's president confirmed that his country will apply to join NATO. Yesterday's announcement came after the country's president and prime minister said last week they both favored NATO membership, giving a green light for the country to apply.
Everything has changed when Russia attacked Ukraine, and I personally think that we cannot trust anymore that there will be a peaceful future next to Russia with our own. That's why we're making the decisions to joining NATO.
Russia, which shares a lengthy border with Finland, has said it would be a mistake for Helsinki to join the 30-strong Western military alliance and that it would harm bilateral ties.
Sweden should join NATO.
Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson said she will seek broad support for an application to join NATO. The announcement came after her party dropped its long-standing opposition to membership in the wake of Russia's invasion. During a news conference yesterday with Germany's foreign minister, the NATO chief said he is confident that Turkish concerns will not hold up the two bids to join NATO.
When there are questions, we sit down, and I'm confident that we will be able to find a common ground, an agreement, consensus on how to move on the membership issue.
Turkey, which had surprised its allies by saying it had reservations about Finnish and Swedish membership, laid out its demands on Sunday. Turkey wants the two countries to halt support for Kurdish militant groups that have a presence on their territory and lift bans on some sales of arms to Turkey. The foreign minister later said the talks had been helpful. Sweden and Finland were both neutral throughout the Cold War, and their decision to join NATO would be one of the biggest changes to Europe's security architecture for decades. Once vetted by NATO allies, approval could come in weeks, although ratification by allied parliaments could take up to a year. A second mass shooting over the weekend in the United States. In Southern California, a gunman opened fire in a church on Sunday, killing one person and critically wounding 5 senior citizens. The violence happened during a lunch banquet at the Geneva Presbyterian Church in Laguna Woods. A pastor later hit the gunman on the head with a chair, and parishioners tied him up with electrical cord. The motive is yet to be identified, and the suspect is thought to be a Asian man in his 60s, according to police. About 30 to 40 people were in the church when the shooting occurred. 2 handguns were found at the scene. Most of the churchgoers are believed to be elderly immigrants from Taiwan.
Britain's Queen Elizabeth II attended the finale of a 4-day horse show on Sunday. The event celebrated her 70 years on the throne and drew a star-studded cast, including Hollywood actor Tom Cruise and British actor Helen Mirren. The 96-year-old monarch, wearing a grey shawl, was driven to the outdoor spectacle in the grounds of Windsor Castle. She was welcomed by 2 Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers. The Queen has attended every Royal Windsor Horse Show since its inception 79 years ago. That has reflected her keen interest in horse racing and breeding. The monarch has been seen in public on only a few occasions after she spent a night in hospital last October for an unspecified illness.
Back here at home, the Consumer Council today warning the public of health risks associated with some sausages. The watchdog found that 26 of 30 sausage samples collected from the market were high-sodium products, while half were high-fat content foods. Meanwhile, 3 samples were detected with metabolite, a veterinary drug, of 2 with carcinogenic and genotoxic substance.
In the food safety test, 2 trial and 1 frozen samples were detected with SEM, a metabolite of a veterinary drug, nitrofuranzole, that had been banned in the mainland EU and USA. Research has shown that nitrofuranzole could adversely affect the reproductive organs of laboratory animals, while its metabolite SEM could cause articular cartilage degeneration in laboratory animals, resulting in deformed limbs.
That's the news. Thanks for watching.
Good night.